Do you know you could buy a knockoff GoPro for like $50? And then you could do stuff like this because it doesn't matter, it's only $50 instead of $400. Let's check out the new RC four-wheel drive Gelande 2 D110 body, same wheelbase. I'd probably say it's because I'm getting old that I'm starting to like going slow. Scale things and not racing and worrying about every second of a lap and dropping your car 20 times to make sure the ride height is when the Sierra where it's supposed to be. But in terms of scaling, it's growing out of control. It's all ages. It's young people, old people like me, maybe old people like you. But there's a reason for it. It's relaxing. You can go out in the woods with a buddy, grab some trucks, maybe some beers, and have a good time. RC four-wheel drive has been in this class since the beginning. They used to make some option parts, now they're making full kits. This is their new Gelande 2 with the long wheelbase D110 body set. A lot of these trucks are very similar, it's the body and the wheelbase that changes. So the big difference of this, if you're an RC four-wheel drive fan, is the suspension setup. Instead of the more realistic old school leaf spring, you got a 3-link, 4-link suspension, which allows more articulation in the suspension and allows you to do more things. Once you unbolt the body, and it takes a little bit of work because it's screwed on, you see this chassis. It's the longer wheelbase. There's markings on the actual suspension links to tell you have the longer one. But in general, it looks longer. You have everything metal, metal side rails, metal axles, metal. I don't know why the electronics are spread out so far. It seems to me it could be compressed a little bit and be a little cleaner looking, but I don't know. Maybe it's for weight distribution, who knows, but hey, the motor's way up in the air, so that doesn't make any sense. So if we get to the suspension, the main difference of some of their other kits, this is a 4-link, 3-link, depends on the front or rear how many links you get. But you'll notice the shocks, they're metal, they're not filled with oil, which bugs me, I don't know why, but you know, on the trail, it didn't bug me as much because I don't even really know if you need oil on some of these trucks, because you kind of want the movement, and even though this is an 8-pound truck, it seemed to be happy without oil. Do you put 10 weight in it, 5 weight, just to slow down the damping a little? Who knows? I'm actually sure there's plenty of people that know. One of the big changes too is that the servo's been moved up to the rails, so it's not hanging down, and you know, it gives you a more scale appearance. You don't have a real truck with a big box hanging down steering your front wheels. That's hidden inside the chassis just like this. So it does create a little bit of weird angle on the linkages, but you know, we deal with it to look better. It's like working out. To be honest, those shocks that I'm so mad at for not having oil are ready to accept oil. The rear of the car, again, you get full metal. This is an expensive RTR, it's not cheap. But all the axles and drivetrain is full metal, so you don't have to worry about going to buy aftermarket. It's not plastic if you upgrade to more power. You can see the links here controlling the rear end. I just can't help but be impressed of the quality of this kit and just the sheer, hey, we didn't skimp out with plastic parts. Good job, RC four-wheel drive. Having a big racer background, most of the time we have difficulty going slow. Because never during a race are you going to say, hey, let me try to slowly go over this jump. It's to get to the start-finish line as fast as possible every time. So sometimes in our videos, you see that we struggle to go slow because our brains are still saying, just jump that son of a and get over that thing as fast as possible. But once we get our little groove on, we start to go slow and realize that the fun of this is making it look like that's a real truck. And you can hear the metal bumpers clinking the rocks. You can see us running into our camera. All that kind of fun stuff. One of the things that separates RC four-wheel drive from almost every other kit, I'm sure there's another one that has it, but it has a transfer case, which means the motor isn't coupled to the center transmission differential. It's got its own gearbox. So that's actually connected sort of like a real engine to a transfer case for full-time four-wheel drive. This is all locked, so you got no differentials. Remember, that helps in crawling. It sucks for steering. You can see that the front transmission, the motor is connected to it. And there's a lot of mods to make that motor drop. It's still in the very high position, which, to be honest, the high center of gravity makes the car tippy. Stock electronics are kind of average. You know, they're 45-turn brushed motor, a servo that looks like it's high-end. Did a decent job, but you still got some stall in there when we got stuck a little bit. The speed control goes forward and backwards. Could it be smoother? Yes. But it's electronics. It's gear. The servo did a decent job. We did have some wheel stall a couple times when we got stuck, but overall we weren't too disappointed in the electronics at all, considering that we thought they were going to be worse than they were, to be honest with you. Again, I'm always being honest apparently. But once we get on the trail and start working everything together and getting a little trail groove, it's so much fun to do this stuff. Videos don't, I don't even know why people watch some videos anyway. We don't understand, but this is just watching it and going, wow, it looks pretty. It's going over rocks. And if you're into off-roading, you get it. If you're not, you're dumb and don't get it. But there's no speed to this vehicle at all. Its top speed is, pretty much right there. Doesn't go much faster than that. Again, in the trail, that wheel speed can be a problem. If you're trying to get over some of the bigger terrain or get stuck in a little place, it's very difficult to not have the wheel speed to pop it out. And later we will see that we got stuck in sand and it looked like it could have made it if it just went a little faster. Maybe a bit better battery, but you could definitely get upgraded electronics to this. What you're buying is a beautifully made, ready-to-run kit, full spec'd out, metal everything, lock diffs, a body that's killer. The only thing that we kind of complain about is that if you go back to the chassis picture, the battery is kind of like free-balling in there. It's got Velcro, but it doesn't really grab it. I still don't understand the battery mounts when it could just be a cup or just like a normal locking thing, but apparently off-road kits like these weird kooky strap-in Velcro things like I used to use in my RC10 in 1980 before they invented tie-downs with like a brace. But anyway, so let's check out some of the action coming through. Doesn't look as top heavy as we would have made it look like, but that body is pretty heavy. The truck's running about 8 pounds. It's a solid little bulldog, and that's what it looks like one. Wheels, tires, they gripped better than I would have thought for ready-to-run tires. Of course, if you upgrade to softer, stickier tires, going to help every direction and traction. These are very scale-looking, look perfect in the kit. Obviously, they did the homework. The fifth wheel on the back for added scale, and you can take that off because sometimes that is going to affect your approach angle and therefore screwing you up in the trails. But hey, you need a spare in case you get a flat. Don't screw it up. Test area was just a random spot in Costa Mesa next to a river. We were trying to do a water crossing, but a little bit too deep for us, and I think we might have got a disease if we hit some of that green stuff, so we kind of faked going across it for you. We did get some tires wet, but you can't go too deep in stock RTR gear. Obviously, we made it look like it, so tricked you. Coming out the other side, tires wet, looking nice. Good grip on just the random dirt and leaves, nothing to complain about. The sand coming up here did show that sand's hard. This is a pretty steep angle, maybe about 30 degrees, 25, but the sand was pretty loose. It's common around here in Southern California. It's hard packed, but then you get this sandy thing on there, but that's a wash from a river, so sometimes when there's rain out here we see some wash. Otherwise it's just called desert out here. But the wheel spin, this is where I think a little bit more speed would have carried it up there, where we can get some forward momentum. That's a hard word. Momentum. And get up that hill. Tried, but we just slid back and forth. And it made for a fun video. That's part of the thrill of this scale, is that go out with your camera and use iMovie and make something like this. And we're not that good at it, but hey, it's fun. Once we got to some of the smoother stuff on the water crossings, I'm assuming that this stuff is weatherproof, waterproof, but don't go too deep. Stay kind of dry until you waterproof your car, which means sealing everything up. You don't want water in your axles. Kind of want to make sure that's all sealed with shoe glue and all that kind of fun stuff, silicone. Use a balloon, the old 1930s trick for your receiver, with some grease. I'm sure we've done articles on it in our magazine because we're old. Use balloons. Overall, this kit is awesome. Yes, we love the body. I'm American. I would prefer a Jeep body, but I understand the thrill of this old Defender, very European, African, iconic body, and it's done perfectly. There's a lot of upgrades that you could put in there, like an interior, so it doesn't just look like you're running a ghost shell, and lights and all that fun stuff. That's part of it. Some scale accessories. There's a lot of it. It's like shopping for shoes and new school shoes and shirts and stuff like that. You got to accessorize. It's part of the accessory group here. But if you're looking for a really good, out-of-the-box, ready-to-run, one of the probably most scaled kits out there, this is the kit. You can get the short wheelbase, long wheelbase. They got a couple body options. The suspension's cool, and for probably $600, Some of you may cough, but it's worth it. Our full review is found in the magazine. We make a magazine, issue number 33, VRC033. Can be bought online, $2.99 an issue, or subscribe for about $10, maybe $13 if you do our app. You get hundreds of pages of content for next to nothing. It allows us to do these terrible videos, and you get to listen to me babble. But go online, subscribe here, subscribe there, subscribe everywhere. Tell your friend, tell your mom. She may be into it because we're pretty good looking and we work out a lot. So comment, subscribe, like it, lick it, click it.